This podcast is brought to you by lineupmedia.fm.
Wilner and O'Reilly Immigration Lawyers was founded in 2003 by Richard M. Wilner and Kelly S. O'Reilly. Richard is board certified as a specialist in immigration law by the State Bar of California. Kelly is a former immigration officer with the INS. Together, they lead a team of accomplished lawyers and legal professionals who serve clients in every aspect of immigration law. 7 offices, 50 team members, all dedicated to one thing: making immigration law great again. Immigration law is not just a practice area within their firm, it is their only practice. Whether you are an elite international athlete, entertainer, Fortune 500 company, small business, or individual, you have the same access to badass lawyering. Anytime, anywhere, they will get it done. Call them toll-free at 888-352-7064 to schedule an appointment or check them out at WilnerO'Reilly.com.
The following podcast is a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be sent to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.
You know what they say about one bad apple? Well, we've got 2. It's American Animals. All your favorite athletes, entertainers, and weirdos are coming to you like you've never heard them before. Join Erik, Bad, Apple, and Ian, Uncle Creepy McCall. American Animals. Get some.
Episode 32 of American Animals. That's 2 American Animals. You're hanging out with Erik, Apple, as always. Ian McCall is in Okinawa. So today you're hanging out with the man, the myth, TJ DeSantis, hanging out with us. Thanks for hanging out and helping me get through the show today, TJ.
I'm like a Sasquatch.
What does that mean?
I'm mythical.
You're like a mythical beast?
Right.
Well, the man, the myth.
Yeah. You didn't say legend. It's usually the man, the myth, the legend.
I thought I didn't get all that far?
No, I am
meant to.
Like, anatomically, yes, I'm a male. Am I mythical? I don't know. Probably not.
Well, you say you're mythical like a Sasquatch.
Maybe. And I'm definitely not legendary, so.
Well, thank God you're not hairy like a Sasquatch.
How do you know? You can't see see any body hair right now.
At least from the neck up.
I got my UFC Fight Pass hoodie on. You can't see. You can't see that, my manly, righteous body, moss.
Where did the Fight Pass hoodie come from?
Fight Pass.
They sent it to you.
Well, I'm on Fight Pass. I'm on Fight Pass on Sunday for the Eddie Bravo Invitational.
Okay.
And then look around the room, Invicta Fighting Championships.
Oh, I forgot all those shows are on there.
Live on UFC Fight Pass.
How is it? Does anybody know how Fight Pass is doing?
I mean, I think they're doing great.
Well, I mean, the models there from the WWE, and they seem to be content with it, right?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are. That's information that is far above my pay grade. But yeah, I mean, I'm on Fight Pass all the time, and I mean, like every week with the UFC, I'm watching the prelims. There's content over there that I enjoy, like the Where Are They Now?
Yeah, I just watched the Marco Huas one.
Oh, that's awesome.
Now, Marco Huas was my first coach.
Yeah.
Now, talk about the man, the myth, the legend.
Of course.
He was so. It's so funny because people don't get how brutal Marco Huas was.
Did you guys drill foot stomps?
We never drilled it, but he was so mean. It's so funny. People don't believe the stories, but they're all real. I mean, he would KO students.
Yeah.
He KO'd me twice in the same round. I've told this story before on the show. The same round.
What a nice man.
He would choke. He would.
Well, let me ask you this: do you remember being KO'd twice, or did someone have to tell you?
No, I remember.
Okay.
I remember getting dropped, waking up. Babalu made my nose straight again.
That was nice of him.
Marco asked, "Can you?" And I started walking off the mat. Like I figured, I'm out, so
right.
I'm going to walk.
I'm
off.
concussed. I need to go over here and try to figure out which way is up.
Marco goes, "Can you breathe?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Okay, go." I said, "What?"
Okay.
And another 30, 60 seconds later, again, he dropped me, and I didn't know where I was.
I believe that is the step-by-step process in how to make a man out of someone.
Yeah,
or brain dead. I don't know, one of the two.
I mean, it's a combination, right?
Yeah.
So, and he also would show submissions in class, and if he didn't believe in his mind that he was applying it with enough pressure, but you tapped, it wasn't good enough for him. No, he's like, you can't. He would basically be like, "You're not allowed to tap yet because I don't believe I'm putting enough pressure on this for you to tap. So you need to keep taking it.
Your arm isn't broken yet."
Yes,
got it.
And he would consistently choke people out in class while showing techniques.
The old saying is, you can't teach heart. He sure was trying. He was really trying to teach you heart.
It was so bad. I mean, you've heard the stories of him beating people up until they cried in class. Like,
sure.
Like, I'm not going to name names, but high-level professional fighters cried.
I mean, I hear Rafael Cordero's the same way, and the guys at Kings, like, they go hard.
They go hard, but it's different. It's like it's fighters fighting each other,
right?
Not your coach or your master beating the shit out of you.
Hi, welcome to class.
Yeah, it's different when it's your coach just beating the shit out of you, and you're just like, you can't say anything. You got to try to take it. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, I was first training. I didn't really know what I was doing. I'd be putting on gear, and Marco sometimes he would hold pads and do all this stuff. And then other days he would be wrapping up and he's going to train with us, and I would be borderline in tears trying to figure out how to get out. I can't do this.
My tummy hurts.
He can beat the shit out of me so bad, like I would be freaking out.
Wow.
How do I not do this today?
Yeah, I mean, what's crazy about that is like all the things that we've learned about CTE and concussions, and I don't think that it's a hard, fast, steady rule for each person. Like the Cleveland Clinic tried to put out a number that was like, if you have 5 concussions in your life, your brain is irreparably damaged, and it's just this way. But then there are some guys that, have like chins on them of stone and granite, and they just never go. And then all of a sudden one day their chin falters them.
Yeah,
so,
there's no hard numbers on those things.
Right. It's a case-to-case situation, right?
I think everyone's different.
Yeah, it's like a video game stat. Like some people have a chin that's 84 and other people have one that's like 6.
Exactly. I'll say this is I never felt the effects of training or fighting. Now, knock on wood, I haven't been knocked out very much in training or fighting.
Just twice in one round once upon a time.
Yeah. I got KO'd real bad racing cars. And my race car flipped 12 times. So
12 times?
Yeah, 12 times.
You realize you're like a real life Mountain Dew commercial. You're like action sports MMA guy.
So the centrifugal force pulled my brain apart, and I bled out my nose. I bled out my eyes and stuff. And
this explains a lot about you.
I was more affected. My brain was more affected that day than from anything else in my life as far as damage.
Yeah.
I later that day, I remember specifically going, I'm dumber now, and I feel it. Like
really?
My
like
brain
you
is
feel
not
cognitively slower.
Yeah, I knew right then. I was like, my brain is not as good as it was before today. I knew it. 100%.
Do you know why punches to the back of the head are illegal?
Well, because it's more dangerous because the front of your skull is built to take damage.
Right, and also too, in the inside of your skull, in the front, it's like very spiky and very coarse. So when you get hit in the back of your head, your brain hits the front end of your skull, and the possibility of like micro abrasions on your brain is much greater because the front of your skull it's spiky. It's just very rough. And
no, I didn't know that. You said the inside of the front of your skull.
Yeah, so like your forehead,
not smooth.
On the inside of it is very spiky.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I wonder why that is.
I don't know. A doctor told me that.
Now I do know the front of your face, the front of your head is designed to take abuse, and the back's definitely not.
Exactly. Because I mean, when you think about how the body was made, like I'm sure evolution, we didn't fight like we do now. There was no real like getting the back mount and pounding and doing elbows. Like when you think about it, like when people square up, if they don't know how to fight, they just throw haymakers at each other's face.
Well, I think that I think that we probably evolved not from fighting, but just from humans hunting, dealing with predators over hundreds of thousands of years. I don't think it had anything to do with fighting, but it just happened to work out for fighting for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
We always hear about people, or you read about people who get in a fight and one guy falls down and hits the back of his head on a curb and he dies or something like that. You know what I mean? Because I can run from across the room and hit you in the forehead, and you'll probably be fine. I'll shatter my hand and you'll be okay.
Of course.
But it doesn't take much to the back of the head and you have real problems.
Well, it's like the same thing with the collarbone. Like 10 pounds or a force with the collarbone, and your collarbone just breaks. Like that's bad design.
It just wasn't built to take any brunt. Yeah.
Obviously he's not here, but Ian has told a story a few times where he's gotten knocked out from snowboarding, like really badly. And I find it funny, like yourself, a guy who fought many times, Ian, who's fought and has been ranked the #1 fighter in the world. It's like the worst injury that you guys have has nothing to do with fighting.
Fighting is the safest thing I've ever done. I used to get paid to surf and bodyboard.
Right.
Then I got paid to ride BMX. And then fighting, and then after that I was racing cars.
I'm just going to start calling you Mountain Dew. Use your action sports elite, Erik Apple.
I'm telling you, fighting is the safest thing. I mean, getting punched or kicked is not a big deal. I mean, it doesn't look good, but falling out of the sky on a bike,
right,
or bouncing off of the reef at Pipeline, or crashing a race car hurts a lot more than getting hit in the face.
Well, I mean, you obviously have ties to motocross. When I see those dudes do those jumps and they're literally letting go of their bike like 3 stories in the air.
Yeah,
that's terrifying.
And that, a lot of those jumps are 100 feet, 110 feet. They're 30 feet up. They have a 240-pound dirt bike. That's real. Those are real consequences. Getting hit and kicked, no big deal.
You know what the worst part is? Like when I see those wrecks is when they're way up in the air in that brief moment where you can tell they know that this is going to end horribly. Like I can't imagine going, oh, I've lost grip of my bike. I'm suspended 25 feet up in the air or whatever. What do you think? Like what it goes through your mind?
You're looking for a soft place. You're thinking of a way to fall that you can slide out of it and not snap both your femurs or something absolutely terrible. I mean, I've been there for a lot of those things. Remember, I hosted X Games for 11 years. Yeah. When Carey Hart first attempted the backflip at X Games and crashed and broke both his legs and all stuff, I was less than 10 feet away. I was standing shoulder to shoulder with his father, Tom, and we could have caught him. We were that close. I mean, and I've seen a lot of my friends get really hurt. Stephen Murray, who was the #1 BMX dirt jumper in the world, he broke his neck and was fully paralyzed. He was the best BMXer in the world and hurt himself on live television, was fully paralyzed. I was standing right there for it, too, and he flatlined twice before they brought him back. I mean, he broke his neck and almost died. I watched that happen. I was with Jeremy Lusk when he died. He was the #1 freestyle motocross rider in the world. I mean, I've seen a lot of my friends get really hurt and die.
And how do you get back on the air after that? And like obviously there's a somber tone.
None of those. Only one of those times I was actually on the air. The other times I was just there. When Stephen Murray broke his neck, I wasn't.
How do you even like exist though there? Like I would want to go home and just sit in a room and be quiet and not talk to anybody for a long time.
It's pretty shitty. I mean, towards the end of my run with X Games, I was very distraught and kind of over it because ESPN very clearly didn't care about the athletes. They started having dangerous courses that weren't kept well. There'd be windy conditions or just bad courses and dangerous courses, and nobody cared. And I would be like, yo, like this is getting dangerous. Like we need to stop the show and like we need to fix some stuff, and nobody cared.
And see, that's unfortunate because that happens in mainstream sports all the time. Like it can't rain too hard before the baseball game is called to a halt and they put out the tarp. But like just let these dudes like hurl themselves through the air with 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts. No big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because when X Games first started, it was so cool, and it was an awesome event, and it just slowly faded over the years. And we were watching it. I was watching just the other day, Winter X Games in Aspen, and it was hard to watch. It's just like these guys are because action sports have basically become just a contest of guys hucking themselves, trying to do the dumbest, craziest thing they can, and whoever doesn't kill themselves wins the gold medal that year. And it's just like I don't know, it's not nearly as cool to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's still come a long way. I remember like the first X Games in like the mid '90s when they were doing like shovel racing, things like that. It's like, what is this?
Remember, and they were doing they were snowboarding or they were
skydiving. Yeah, with snowboards.
Yeah, and they were racing shovels down the snow.
It's just so ridiculous.
They had luge.
Yeah,
they had inline rollerblading.
We almost had the UFC there. You know that, right? The UFC, like I believe it was Dana White and company was pushing to get the UFC as a part of the X Games, and it fell through.
Maybe. I don't believe so. ESPN, because I worked there, I know for a fact that ESPN was very anti-MMA for a long time. There was years.
Right, but Dana was trying to pitch it to them, I believe. I got to look it up here to get the actual fact.
And their parent company, Disney, wanted nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
I remember specifically. It's funny because the guy who used to run X Games, Jamie, I'm trying to think of his last name right now. He actually is the vice president of all of ESPN now. He was actually just named that lawsuit the other day. Did you see that lawsuit with the tennis announcer who got fired because he used the term gorilla tennis?
No.
He was talking about Serena or Venus Williams, but not gorilla like G-O-G-U-E, gorilla.
Oh, like guerrilla marketing.
Yeah, like because I guess that's a common term in tennis is gorilla tennis. It's when you're not playing with finesse and you're just hacking away trying to win points and just I don't know. I don't really understand tennis that much, but it's a common term. And this guy got let go because he's used that term, and now he's suing, and they're saying it's gonna be an easy win for him.
Wow. I mean, if there's a precedent that is like in the vernacular of tennis, for sure.
Nike had a commercial called Gorilla Tennis several years ago with Pete Sampras and Andre Agassi, so it's obviously a very, very common thing.
I wonder if it comes down to whoever made that decision. It was like a gut reaction, and they weren't familiar or if this was like the first, like they wanted to get rid of this guy and this was like the first opportunity.
It was them reacting to a social media backlash. Switching gears, did you see the Trump speech last night? Mr. Trump, he talked to Congress last night, a joint session of Congress, which means both Republicans and Democrats, which I've never heard of a session of Congress that was just one side and not the other. But either way, he had an amazing speech last night that even the most hardcore left-wing CNN liberal people said was an amazing speech, and his poll numbers shot up this morning immensely.
Yeah, so did the Dow apparently, because
21,000.
Yeah, like that's nuts. I mean, here's my problem. I'm so turned off of politics at this point. Like, I can't log on to Facebook without seeing something. I can't do anything on Twitter without seeing something. And unfortunately, no one's having like a real conversation. There's yelling.
There's nobody
at each
in the
other.
middle. There's nobody in the middle. It is difficult.
But we're all in the middle, Eric. Like, there is no red and blue person. Everyone is purple. Just like there's no black and white world. It's all shades of gray.
Well, yeah, but I'm agreeing with you saying that, like, it's people. Nobody's sensible. Everyone just sticks to their side no matter what happens. Right? They can't say, like, you know what? Well, even though I'm on this side, what you're saying does kind of make sense today. You know what I mean? Nobody ever says that.
No, and like this is. I don't want to go too crazy and start talking about politics and make this like too American.
We need
politicians.
We need TJ DeSantis to have a political show.
But like,
I would love to do one.
I'm not opinionated enough, to be honest with you. But like, my problem is like with the Electoral College, it's either you're the hardest of right wing.
We just changed the Electoral College.
We need to get rid of the Electoral College, in my opinion. And the reason is this: is because it's not because the popular vote can be overruled by the Electoral College. None of that. I don't care about any of that. What I care about is if you are an honest-to-goodness moderate or an independent, you have no chance of winning, because with the Electoral College system, either you have to be very, very conservative or very, very liberal, at least in your thinking and ideology. Ideology? I can't say that word.
Ideology.
Thank you. But because if you're not, your party attacks you and then starts saying, well, you know, Donald Trump, he might, you know, be running on the Republican ticket, but he's really very liberal. He's really, really moderate.
I mean, he's the most liberal Republican president we've had in decades.
For sure. But when he was running, his contemporaries were saying that he's not a true conservative. And generally,
I mean, he's not really.
No, he's not. But for the most part, with the Electoral College, you have to be true blue or diehard red, because if you're not, if you don't win 100% of your party and then try to steal a little bit of the other, you have no chance of winning. You really don't. And if you're in the middle where you can kind of sort of cater to both sides, it's just not going to work, because they're going to say, oh, he's weak. He doesn't really stand for the party as a whole.
Well, yeah, the two-party system is an antiquated thing that is going to have to be phased out eventually, but who knows? I mean, I'm telling you right now, the way things are going, I mean, it's going to be a one-party system here real quick, because the Democrats are losing lots of power. And I think a lot of people who are moderate Democrats or who slightly lean to the Democrat side are going to be leaning away from them with the way they have been going on, because they're just trying to obstruct everything in this country. And the 2018 elections, the Democrats are going to lose even more power. They have something like 10 seats in Senate that are up for re-election, while the Republicans only have 2 or 3. And out of those 10 seats, I believe 7 or 8 are in states that Trump won. So they're going to have even less power in 2018.
This is the problem with politics in this country. And it's a pattern. Like, we generally have 8 years of a Republican, and then we have 8 years of a liberal, and 8 years Republican. It almost always goes back and forth every 8 years. Yeah. My biggest problem, and I don't want you to sound like too Bernie Sanders here, because I'm not like a huge Bernie supporter, but I
like his personality. His ideas are horrible, and his debating is miserable. Ted Cruz shit on him the other day.
My problem with everything is that politics is nothing but a career choice in a way for people to make money in perpetuity.
Yeah,
and
I agree. There should be a lifetime. You can only be a politician for a certain amount of years.
8 years, I think, personally. At least at that, like, you should be able to do it at 8 years at the state level. 8 years at the.
I agree. I agree actually exactly on both what you're saying. 8 years on a state level, 8 years on a federal level. Yeah. 16 years total is all you can do.
Right, and that's a career for most people.
And do you like Trump's idea about how people are not allowed to be lobbyists if they serve in his cabinet? I think that's great.
Yeah, I mean, the special interests and things like that.
That's the worst thing.
But you're okay. So when. Okay, I'm crazy. I think that you should get rid of the House of Representatives. Okay? The reason I think you should get rid of the House of Representatives is we have technology. Now, let's throw out the hacking and the Russian influence on our election and all that stuff. Let's just throw that away, okay? Because I don't know enough there. There's not enough information out there. I hear a lot about it, but no one's giving me hard, steadfast facts about it, okay?
Yep.
We have the technology that we can all speak for ourselves and go vote, okay?
Yep.
Why do the people that represent my district, et cetera, do so on my behalf, but are also lobbied and take money from special interest groups as contributions and then support those things? You're not representing me. You're doing whatever you need to do to stay in office.
You're representing whoever pays for you to be reelected.
Right. And that's that. I mean, why don't we just put all of the options up for debate on eBay, and then whoever makes the most money on auction, that's what happens.
What's the difference, right?
Seriously, it's the same thing.
TJ, we need a political show. Let's do it. Let's find a left-wing person, and me and them will host, and you'll moderate. Let's do it.
Maybe. Like, that's the thing, though. Like, I'm more left-leaning than anything. I really am. But,
right.
like, I don't know. This is the only thing that I want to say about it.
I'll straighten out our left-wing host and you at the same time.
I don't think so. I don't think so because I'm not really happy. Like, here's my thing. I want the government that exists to be a functioning government that takes care of everyone, okay?
Sure.
So you can say, oh, I don't want big government, I don't want small government,
When you
blah,
say
blah, blah.
everyone, does that include people in other countries who are trying to come here illegally?
That's
are you going to tell me those people that it's our responsibility to take care of those people?
Legally or illegally?
Illegally.
No, because if you're here illegally, then no, you don't have any rights as an American
Because there's
citizen.
people who believe that those people deserve to be able to get subsidies from the government, that we should be paying for their insurance.
There are certain situations. I don't think that we need to rid this country of illegal immigrants as like a priority. I really don't.
No, I don't think we should be going house to house.
No.
But what about if they have a criminal record?
Are we searching them out or do they pop up?
Yeah, if you're here illegally and you get arrested,
you're here illegally. You should be deported.
It's one
You're
thing.
here illegally and you broke the law. You should be deported.
Yeah.
That has nothing to that has nothing to do, in my opinion, of being liberal or conservative. That has everything to do. No. But let me finish.
Liberals in America think those people should be allowed to stay.
That's the thing. No. That is not true. That is not true. You're saying a majority of liberals. Like, no.
I didn't say majority.
No.
I did not say the word majority.
Okay, fine. You're saying all liberals.
No,
this is the problem.
I said there are liberals in this country who believe that even if you commit a crime, you still deserve to stay here.
Believe it or not, the way that the world works and the way that human beings work, everyone has different opinions.
Yeah.
There are probably conservatives that have that same exact view.
I'm sure you can find a couple, but not nearly as many.
But do you understand what I'm saying, though? Like,
sure.
not every person.
I know. Not every left-wing person believes that. But
I'm liberal, therefore guns are terrible, and everyone should be able to have an abortion. That's not true. That's just not. That's not how people actually think.
I agree with you.
It's just how they represent themselves because it's a two-team game, and that's it.
Well, that's why I said the
ridiculous.
The whole two-party system is antiquated.
But my point is, I want to believe that whatever government exists has the best interests of the people that it represents at heart, but they don't.
It hasn't been like that forever.
It just doesn't. And I would love to believe in the officials that are elected to go out and do what they need to do. It's just, I don't care what side of the tracks you're on, you have a lot to do to win me over.
Do you think, what you said made me think of something, and this is a crazy way for us to open Two American Animals, but I love it. I'm one of the people who believes that Donald Trump is truly going to do the best job he can because his ego is so big. He's already a billionaire. He's already famous. He already has a family. In my mind, I think he wants to be the best president ever and wants to get the most shit done. I really believe that
I think every president wants that, though.
I think he truly wants to do more than any other president because he has such a big ego. He wants people to say he was the best.
There is something to be said about ego. Sometimes it can be your demise. Sometimes it can be your fuel.
Yeah.
I think that you're probably right. Donald Trump secretly, deep down inside, wants everyone to love him.
Yeah, he does.
But at the same time, like the stuff he says, and when he doubles down on it, it's like, dude, what are you doing right now?
I honestly think that he is coming around fast and learning quickly on the job. Remember, he's never been a politician before. He's never had to speak in a statesman-like way, and I think he's coming around quickly. I think he's learning from his mistakes relatively quickly. I don't think we should go into any more politics because
I don't know.
We should have a political show. I'd be all about it.
I'll probably get myself into trouble, but I like talking about it.
I do too. Listen, we're going to get to our first break. We're going to come back. We're going to review some big MMA news this week. Nobody better than to go over this stuff with me than TJ DeSantis. And check out the spot from one of our sponsors here on American Animals with Erik Apple and TJ DeSantis. We'll be right back. Wilner and O'Reilly Immigration Lawyers was founded in 2003 by Richard M. Wilner and Kelly S. O'Reilly. Richard is board certified as a specialist in immigration law by the State Bar of California. Kelly is a former immigration officer with the INS. Together, they lead a team of accomplished lawyers and legal professionals who serve clients in every aspect of immigration law. 7 offices, 50 team members, all dedicated to one thing: making immigration law great again. Immigration law is not just a practice area within their firm, it is their only practice. Whether you are an elite international athlete, entertainer, Fortune 500 company, small business, or individual, you have the same access to badass lawyering. Anytime, anywhere, they will get it done. Call them toll-free at 888-352-7064 to schedule an appointment or check them out at WilnerO'Reilly.com. You are listening to episode 32 of American Animals. That's 2 American Animals. And we got 3 today because not only is Erik Apple joined by TJ DeSantis, but we're now joined by Micah Miller, whose your brother was on our very first episode.
Was he really?
That was so special.
Wow. Oh, I remember that. No.
Now we've completed the circle of Miller brothers.
I'm happy you brought that up. I'm happy you brought that up because you and Cole were supposed to hang out with me. And you ended up going to Erik Apple's like fancy pants studio.
Oh yeah.
And I was sitting in here like an a-hole going, "When's Micah and Cole coming?"
Well, we've come down to your level now. We're not that fancy anymore.
That was
look, everybody calls TJ in the end because I make the podcast world turn.
You're the backup.
He does. Well, it's consistency. We weren't happy with the way things were happening at Dash. They weren't consistent. Their schedule. There was staff changing all the time. It was a nightmare. So I'd rather be here with someone I know that's going to be here every week and I can depend on. That's what matters most.
Despite my disdain for you as a human being.
Despite how awkward you are and how much you love to talk shit to me, which my girlfriend loves. Nothing makes my girlfriend happier. See, look at her smile. Just the thought of somebody talking shit to me or making fun of me, she's thrilled.
I think that means she doesn't really like you.
She's just using me for sex. It's obvious.
There are worse things in life, right?
It's obvious. I mean, she's not here for my sparkling personality.
No, we already talked about how your brain has been damaged. So,
well, hopefully it's not too damaged to go over the news because we got lots of news to cover. Also, later in the show, we're gonna have Cris Cyborg, which is gonna be a big thing because she's a pretty hot name in the news these days.
Yeah, there's a lot of things going on with her, and a lot of things going on with her weight division in crowning champions that has nothing to do with her, oddly.
Which is crazy, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about the biggest thing that's been announced this week or that anybody's talking about is we knew George St. Pierre was coming back. And now, as of this morning, it's been announced that he's going to fight Michael Bisping for the middleweight championship.
Huge mistake.
Well, we'll get into it. So, first of all, GSP's never fought at 185.
Mm-hmm.
So his first fight back, he's fighting for a title. He's fighting Michael Bisping, who probably 2 years ago, if you told Michael Bisping 2 years ago, guess what? In 2017, you're going to fight George St. Pierre for the middleweight belt. Michael Bisping would have looked at you and said, "You're on crack."
Can I just say that everyone needs to thank Chris Weidman for this fight happening? Because if Chris Weidman would have never gotten hurt, Michael Bisping would have never fought Luke Rockhold. The upset of last year would have never happened.
Yep.
And then Dan Henderson beating Hector Lombard would have had nothing to do with him getting a title fight. And now, all of a sudden, Michael Bisping, George St. Pierre, in a fight that no one ever thought would ever happen. And if it did, it would never be for the UFC middleweight championship.
It's crazy, right,
Isn't that what's so great about the sport, though?
It's crazy. What's crazy to me, and like you said, why do you think it's a big mistake, TJ?
Because there are two fights that I think would make the UFC more money. One,
sure.
the no-brainer is Conor McGregor versus George St. Pierre. I'm personally
100%.
not interested in that, honestly, because I think George St. Pierre would take down Conor McGregor and absolutely blow him out of the water.
Probably.
At will.
Yeah. I hope whatever Conor's doing over the next year is just jiu-jitsu. I hope, getting ready to become a father and all that stuff. Like, I hope that he's actually doing that, but I hope that he's just working on rear naked choke defense, because every time I see that Nate Diaz fight, it's like, man, you had nothing when that fight hit the floor. And it's like, what happens if he gets put there again? And now he's the champion of a division that has notoriously been known for stacked wrestlers who can take you down and sort of impose their will. So not really interested in a GSP Conor McGregor fight, even though I think it makes more sense than GSP versus Bisping from a pay-per-view standpoint. But the fight that I would like to see, if I was Sean Shelby and I got to write the checks and make the decisions, I would have George St. Pierre versus Anderson Silva, because it's the super fight that I wanted 5 years ago. Both of the guys are generally at the same point of their careers. You have Anderson Silva, who's no longer really a factor at 185 pounds, at least when it comes to the title picture. And you can still use him for the quote-unquote money fights, but those money fights are with someone like George St. Pierre, who's been away for 3+ years. We don't really know what he has at 185 pounds. He's moving up. This is a win-win situation for the UFC and for both of the fighters involved. If Anderson Silva wins, he beats the only other person that has really rivaled him for greatest of all time, pound for pound. And if GSP wins, then he, solidifies his status as one of the greatest of all time. And if he loses, well, George St. Pierre's not a middleweight, so he can move back down to 170 pounds, and everybody wins. I don't see why you don't make that fight, because that fight, if it doesn't do 1 million buys, I still think it can do anywhere from 600,000 to 750,000 pay-per-view buys. Even though that steam is sort of worn off a little bit, there's still amazing names, and fighting each other would do big money.
I think it's funny you bring that up, because I think that's what they'll do next if he wins. If George wins, I think you have to cash in on a GSP Anderson fight. Like
GSP Silva for the freaking middleweight championship?
Why not?
That's
why not?
More weird than GSP Bisping for the title.
Listen.
Screw you, Yoel Romero.
I'm happy for Bisping that he's getting his $1 million payday now. Finally,
Me too.
He's getting a big payday.
He deserves it.
He's fought everyone there is a fight. He deserves it. However, I will also agree that I would be much more interested in a GSP Anderson Silva fight just for the nostalgia. Like that.
Right.
That's the fight we wanted for so long. It never happened. Now, again, I'm stoked for Bisping. Good for him, because he's a champion, so he's getting a pay-per-view cut. With George involved, they're going to do 7 figures. They're going to do at least 1 million buys. So they're going to make a pretty penny, those guys.
Will they? Will they really do 1 million buys?
For sure, 1 million buys. I guarantee it.
I guarantee it.
You're right.
That's an Apple guarantee, TJ.
I would bet anything. I'd bet $1,000 cash right now.
No, I agree with you. I think it'll do it.
You're probably right. I'm not doubting that it will do 7 figures.
Because they're going to market the shit out of it. They're going to market the fuck out of it.
And who else is on the card?
I just can't.
They don't even know what card yet.
I just can't throw like a guarantee on it. Like I would make sure that it has a pretty solid co-main on it. But
George is one of the 3 biggest Canadian athletes as far as popularity.
Sure, but how hot is the UFC in Canada still? Is it?
He'll make it popular again. I think.
I hope so.
I think George. I think George
he's going to make MMA great again.
Canadian MMA great again.
I think George transcends MMA in Canada at least.
Yeah.
And people who aren't MMA fans in Canada love George, and I think he can help bring it back. I mean, look what him and Jake Shields did back in the day. They did 60,000 seats they sold in Toronto at the Rogers Center,
and that was actually a competitive fight. Despite
it was much more competitive than people thought.
It was more competitive than people thought, and I still thought it was. I thought Shields won.
He won a round or two.
1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah.
So having it be 48-47, that's a feather in your cap when you're fighting GSP. But
for sure.
But the problem is a lot of people love George. He's got the it factor. He says some of the best quotables in MMA history. I beat you fairly squarely. I'm not impressed by your performance. But with all that said, it's hard to overlook some of his performances. The Dan Hardy fight, things where it's like, oh, George St. Pierre, he quote unquote plays it safe. Matt Serra broke him.
I think he just had so much pressure that he just was fighting not to lose.
If he beats Michael Bisping, oh man, it could be a terrible fight. It really could be.
Okay, well, let's talk about the ramifications. What happens if he wins?
That's what I was going to say.
Then we have a guy who's not even big for a welterweight as the middleweight champion.
He says he can make 55. And Firas Zahabi, he's like, yeah, he can make 55.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Listen, I've hung out with George. I'm an average size welterweight, and I'm bigger than George. My walking around weight, I guarantee, is heavier than George.
Wow.
So, what would happen if he won? Is he going to fight Yoel? I mean, listen, I think George is great. He's
What's he going to do
one of the greatest all time.
Take him down?
But literally,
I don't think so.
I'm cringing at the thought of him having to fight Jacare or Yoel.
Which is why I said I think Silva would be the fight.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the landscape, like Apple just said, is Yoel next? I really don't think so. Is Jacare next? I really don't think so. If George is wearing the 185 belt, what's the biggest fight that you can put together? If you're going to put together Bisping versus Dan Henderson, why wouldn't you put together GSP versus Silva?
Okay, so if George St. Pierre beats Michael Bisping and then GSP versus Silva happens, who's the next contender? Rich Franklin? Because I mean, this is where we're going.
What do you mean? No, it's Matt Hughes.
You might not be wrong with that, honestly. Like, I just feel like now the middleweight division is like retro MMA, and let's just grab stars from yesteryear and throw them in title fights.
I mean, look, if you're looking at it from a business standpoint, you got to squeeze all you can out of these guys who are 40 years old.
Well, let's
TJ.
go back to – so, yeah, you're right, though. Let's talk about that. So, WME IMG paid $4 billion for this – more than $4 billion for this.
And that's why St. Pierre's back.
Well, think about these things. Exactly. Think about the loan on your house or someone's house. Think about the interest that's accumulated on that. Think about the interest that's on these $1 billion.
Well, you have to pay, like
these guys got to make a lot of money just to pay the interest back. They're not just paying back $2 billion because they paid $2 billion, they borrowed $2 billion. They're not just paying $2 billion back. They're paying $2 billion plus the interest,
like which ends up being like $3 billion or something, right?
I think more.
Yeah, because like when you get a student loan or when you buy a house, you buy it for X amount of dollars, and then when you factor in the interest plus your principal over the course of how many years, you always pay like 2-3 to 1.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and I agree with what TJ just said. George is back because Ronda's gone. Who knows how long Connor's going to be gone?
Right.
Because Nate said, unless you have $20 million, don't even fucking call me. So
you watch. Nick Diaz is going to get a middleweight title fight if George St. Pierre wins.
Listen, 6 months ago, the UFC, Dana White was saying George ain't coming back. He ain't come back. He doesn't want to fight. He ain't coming back. He ain't coming back.
Oh, that's posturing.
Oh fuck.
Big time.
We need to sell a lot of pay-per-views. Let's get George St. Pierre a fucking title fight. Like, oh shit, we need some money.
Right.
But it's all posturing too. Like, I mean,
sure.
You can't believe a word Dana White ever says because he's a promoter, and sometimes his words are to motivate somebody or are to try to get the general public thinking something. And that's my belief. When Dana White says something, the harder, firmer stance he takes on it, the more pliable he is with his opinion and less likely to be so steadfast. Because, I mean, I've been covering mixed martial arts now for nearly 15 years, and when Dana White says something is fact, it definitely means that it's probably not going to be fact for very long.
We fought on the same card before.
WEC?
Man.
Which one?
In Vegas at the Hard Rock.
WC 28?
I think 26.
Okay.
I fought Brock Larson, who's not very tough. He only was an All-American in the Big Ten his freshman year in college.
Okay, so you might get mad at me. He never wrestled in the Big Ten.
He wrestled at Wisconsin.
No, he went to community college.
I'd
be willing to bet you like money.
I'll have to look that up.
I'm from Minnesota. I know where Brock
I'm sorry,
Larson
he wrestled.
school.
He was a Golden Gopher.
No, he wasn't.
I'll have to look this up.
He was Sean Shirk's like training partner.
I don't know.
He was tough. Don't get me wrong, really tough.
Oh, he's very tough.
Dude, when
I fought him, he came to ATT a couple times.
When I fought him, the only person he'd ever lost to was a split decision to John Fitch.
Yeah, like he
was like 15-1 back then. Like when you fought him,
yeah,
it was tough.
So Brock Larson,
and he didn't throw one punch, just to throw it. Not one punch. He waited for me to throw a punch, and I have a picture of him like this, running at me
tackling you,
trying
like
to get out of.
Do you guys remember what he did to Kevin Nabjian? Like he shoulder tackled him. Like it was ridiculous. I'm not trying to discredit Brock Larson by any means in saying that he wasn't an All-American, but he wasn't. He didn't go to a D1 school. He went to community college. Right. The thing about him though is he's a carbon copy of Sean Shirk, a guy who didn't do anything collegiately wrestling, but was one of the best MMA wrestlers for his time.
Right.
There was nothing you could do generally if you weren't a world-class wrestler or one of the better wrestlers in mixed martial arts at that time. Brock Larson was going to take you down.
Yeah,
he was.
He had a lot of athleticism. You know, like a lot of these guys can learn MMA wrestling when they come in with that kind of athleticism. You know, where did GSP wrestle?
Exactly, and there was legit talk from people going, George St. Pierre never wrestled in high school, never wrestled collegiately. Let's get him on the Canadian wrestling team and get him in the Olympics.
Yep.
And it's hard for me to say that he wouldn't have beaten some guys. I mean, when you take away punches, things change a lot, but. I mean, George did a lot of things. A lot.
You think he would have passed the Olympic drug testing?
I mean, George was one of the guys beating the drum that the UFC wasn't testing enough.
I mean, we're going to get back to news in a second, but could you imagine what you said? Could you imagine if after all the talk George did, he was the dirty guy?
A lot of people. But
how ironic would that be?
But people really feel that way, though. There's a strong contingent of people that believe.
Oh, the irony! If he was the one who was actually all juiced up.
I'm always weary of the one who beats the drum the loudest.
Yeah,
in anything.
He who smelt
it, dealt it.
Yeah. Is he who would sing it, would syringe it? I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Okay, let's keep going
TJ,
with the news, guys.
You gotta be quicker.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Another thing we've seen in the news a whole bunch this week because we're thinking about UFC 209 this weekend. Tyron Woodley is the main event, defending his welterweight belt in a rematch with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. But Tyron's been in the news a lot lately, talking about that he's experiencing a ton of racism and unfair treatment in the UFC. And it's hard for me to see this stuff because I like Tyron a lot and he's a great guy. But it's like someone you like is whining and you don't think they should be whining. Am I crazy here to think that?
No, you're not.
Or do you think he's really experiencing a bunch of racism?
I think the only person that can really honestly tell you if he's experiencing racism is him. Yep. Because this is one of the things. So I call fights for Invicta, and there are certain things that I won't say because it can be offensive to the people watching the broadcast. For example, my first Invicta that I ever called, I learned very quickly to not call the athletes girls. You do not call them girls.
Women?
They're women. They're athletes. They are ladies.
Really? People.
So a girl.
How dare you?
But
see, I would never think there's something wrong with me. Oh, these girls are great. These girls are fighting great today.
But you would never. You would generally never say these boys are great.
Dana White calls guys boys all the time.
So
isn't that funny?
That is something. Does he really? Yeah. I've never noticed that.
All right, boys.
Yeah. To me, I don't know that.
For me, girls is the opposite of guys. Guys and girls. I don't say guys and gals because I'm not a 5th grade gym teacher.
Right.
Guys and gals, line up. We're gonna run killers. But again, it's not up to me what you're offended by. Okay, so if you don't like, if someone says, "Hey, I really don't like it when you call the athletes girls," okay, I won't do that anymore. Okay, I won't do that. The thing is, to me, and what Tyron Woodley may or may not be experiencing is the demographics in mixed martial arts. Okay, the long sought after demographic for the UFC was the Latino crowd in the States because they felt they wanted to get in touch with what boxing did and get that national pride going. And they tried their best. I mean, they tried to get Tito to say things in Spanish and Tito
and Diego
and Tito just proved that he's a dude from Huntington Beach. You know what I mean? And Cain Velasquez, he did captivate some of the.
Cain was the only one who actually did it.
Right, he did it, and he did it much better than anybody else.
I remember they were begging Diego to learn Spanish, and he just wouldn't do it.
And I'm just finishing my point. The African American crowd, I think that it's getting bigger in mixed martial arts, but for the most part, there isn't a fever among the interurban communities and the African American communities when it comes to mixed martial arts for whatever reason. And because of that, I think that Tyron is not pushed as much as some of the other champions and other fighters in the UFC.
I think that's part of it. I think one of the other things that I see that he does is Tyron is one of the only guys. He actually he argues with trolls on Twitter, and to me, it's the nature of the internet is for people to be anonymous dickheads who talk shit and say things they wouldn't say in real life. But if you acknowledge them, of course, you're just feeding the trolls. I've seen him do that. I'm like, Tyron, you're the fucking welterweight champion. You don't talk to these fucking people.
Yeah, he goes on quote unquote block parties where he just goes and he blocks a bunch of people. Here's the problem with Twitter.
Block parties, I like that.
When someone says something to you and you respond, people don't see who's tweeting at you until you respond to them. So no one really sees who's talking shit to you until you hit reply. Yep. And then all of a sudden I see Tyron Woodley going, "Shut up, you don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, wait, what did he say? And then I click on that and I see the reply to. So I mean, I kind of
Tyron just gave him a voice.
I like that though about Tyron. I like that he has a chip on his shoulder and he's ready to take on all comers, whether you're in his division or you're trying to get at him with strikes that are 140 characters or less.
Yeah, I like Tyron too. I think he's a smart kid. He speaks well. He's good looking. He's a good fighter. I mean, I think the sky's the limit for him.
He's a role model too. He really does well for his community, and he's always been involved with the wrestling program, and his gym means a lot. And Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I do Tyron's podcast. So I know him a little bit. Well, maybe the listeners don't, but I've had one-on-one interactions with the man, and he's a family man and a community leader and a really good dude. But it's funny the vitriol that some of the MMA fan base has for him because he speaks his mind and people don't agree.
The fact that he whines about it makes him come after them more.
That's what I was going to say. I agree with everything Apple said, except for that he speaks well. I don't think so. I think he brings a lot of this on himself. I think when you look at
when I say he speaks well, I'm saying he's eloquent. He's a smart guy. He doesn't sound ghetto or stupid.
I've heard him say some ghetto things. Like you can't like when he goes on stage and you see everybody booing him, and he says it's because he's black. Like what is that? How many African Americans are in the UFC and how many are booed just because they're black? You know what I mean? Like they're booing him not because he's black. They're booing him because
he's complaining about stuff.
Yeah, there's obviously something about his personality that the fans aren't jiving with.
Okay, so I think that the way that he carries himself maybe doesn't lend itself to be the most fan-friendly, fan-favorite fighter. But to Tyron's point, a lot of people started getting on his case when it was the perception that he waited out that entire time only for a title fight. And that wasn't true. He didn't sit out that year and a half plus layoff only because he was waiting for a title fight. He was supposed to fight Johnny Hendricks. Johnny didn't make weight. He was scheduled, I think, to fight somebody else. I think it was Gastelum again or something like that, and it didn't come through. And then he got the fight with Robbie Lawler, and he cashed in on it. He made the best of that opportunity, and now is the welterweight champion. And for whatever reason, I think some fans were like, oh, he got his title fight, and he didn't deserve it because he was off for a year and he wasn't going to come back until he got it his way. And that really wasn't the case.
Yep. Makes sense.
But yeah, like you guys said, though, when you do sort of responding to your critics at times can be the absolute worst thing.
It just encourages more people. Let's move forward. Chael Sonnen, he's all over the news this week. He's claiming that Tito verbally and he said that Tito verbally tapped in their fight to the choke, which I don't even know what to say to it.
Did Tito tap out for Chael?
Well,
tap, and then the ref's like, "Oh, we're done." No, he tapped.
Big John didn't do that, but Chael saying that Tito either tapped or that he verbally tapped. Now, I will say his choke, the initial choke. Did you see the fight?
Oh, it looked tight.
It looked pretty tight.
It looked pretty tight.
It looked pretty close, and Tito did.
I forgot. Yeah, what did he have? A Darce?
He had a Darce choke,
didn't he?
He had a Darce choke. He had a Darce or a Bravo. I think
the arm was definitely in. I just can't remember the position.
And Tito actually put his hand out. Sometimes guys reach out like they're ready to tap. He looked like he was ready to. Do I think he tapped? No, but he was. I think he was close.
Yeah.
I think Chael's hilarious.
Was it a Darce? I thought it was a guillotine choke.
I don't remember.
What?
I thought it was a guillotine choke.
I'd have to go back and look at it.
It was a Darce?
Yeah, I don't think it was a straight guillotine. The thing about
Chael's so funny.
Chael is amazing at keeping himself in the news when he really doesn't really belong. Like, how does Chael Sonnen go from basically getting embarrassed at Tito Ortiz 1 week to 3 weeks later being in the commentary booth?
Yeah,
like that is some skill.
It's part of his deal.
But that is skill. Like Chael Sonnen is able. I mean, this dude was indicted. Okay, this guy falls in the pig house and comes out smelling like a rose. It's impossible for this dude to ever finish in last.
It's incredible. Is what it is.
He doesn't even show up for the race.
I'm impressed.
I am impressed.
Well, part of his deal is to do commentating for Bellator, and I'm wondering this: do you think that? I mean, does Chael do more for Bellator fighting for them or being an on-camera commentator?
On camera, for sure.
Do you agree, TJ?
If he fights Vanderlei Silva,
that'll be a good fight.
Then it's the same. It's equal.
But otherwise, just being a face and being a commentary, I think he does better for them than anything else.
No one's really interested in Chael Sonnen being a title contender in the UFC or Bellator or anywhere. But you're interested in what Chael Sonnen has to say.
Yep.
And when you look at Chael fighting, you're interested in what he has to say. When the fight happens, it happens. And then you're interested in what Chael Sonnen has to say.
Agreed.
He's a bad guy.
Let's talk about some matchups that were announced this week. Glover Teixeira and Gustafsson.
Great fight.
TJ?
Yeah, fantastic fight.
So we got 3 thumbs up over here. I think that's a great fight.
Big time.
I can't believe they haven't fought before. You would think that those two guys would have crossed paths before, because if Glover is firing all cylinders, he's scary. Same with Gustafsson.
I still feel like, don't get me wrong, Glover Teixeira has done really great things in the UFC despite not ever owning a title there. But what would have happened if Glover had made it to the UFC 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, the Glover Teixeira that has carved out a space in UFC history is a fantastic fighter, but this isn't prime Glover Teixeira.
I remember when he was fighting at the Palace?
Yes. Like, that Glover Teixeira was legit.
Scary.
Legit. And not that he's not legit now, but, like, that guy could have beaten anybody on any given night.
I mean, his last fight, his wrestling, I mean, if you strike as good as he does and you add that wrestling, I mean, he's a tough guy to beat.
I think if he would have gotten in there before the John Jones wave, I think he would have been champion for sure.
He definitely would have been in that proverbial mix.
Yeah.
And
back when these guys were trading the light heavyweight title like it was like a hot potato, like I think he would have been in there. He would have been a guy that would have worn the belt.
Like guys against against Rashad and Forrest. Yeah, Glover can easily win those fights.
Yeah.
And
Shogun,
Machida, sure.
Those are fights he could have won 100%. So Glover Teixeira, Gustafsson going to be a great fight. It'll probably end up being in Sweden because they always use Gustafsson to headline their Sweden cards. So I'm looking forward to that. Another fight that's a good fight, but I'm not looking forward to, is Damian Maia and George Masvidal. That fight was just announced. It's going to be at UFC 211 in May, and I hate this fight. Do you know why?
Why?
Can you guess?
Well, first off,
it'll make sense.
I have one theory on why you might not like it. Damian Maia has done enough to deserve a title fight, so you're killing off a contender if George beats him. Masvidal, if he beats Damian Maia, to me, I don't think he's necessarily ready for a title fight. He can make a strong argument, but I don't think he's quite there. So you're getting rid of a contender if Masvidal wins and not necessarily making one.
So you're pretty much right. Damian Maia deserves a title fight. If George Masvidal beats him, it's like, fuck, dude. Damian Maia deserves a title fight. Right. So that sucks if he loses. If he beats George Masvidal, it won't be exciting because he might do what he did to Carlos Condit. Come out, Condit didn't even get off one punch. I could see that happening. Masvidal not getting off one good strike and getting taken down, past guard, and submitted. And then it's like, fuck, that was a shitty fight. Damian Maia did the same thing he does every time. And we just took someone like George Masvidal, who just had a badass fight against Cerrone, who you could put up against another striker and have just an incredible badass fight. And now you just screwed up his momentum. So either way, it's going to screw up someone's momentum, and I'm going to be bummed.
Can you? I mean, both of you guys have in-cage experience and are much better suited to talk about this than I, but from an outsider standpoint, and obviously I don't understand technique as well as you guys do, but looking at Damian Maia and his takedowns, they look terrible, but they work. How does he crawl after people? He doesn't shoot a double leg.
Damian Maia has that grappler strength where he gets a hold of you. There's some guys you wrestle with, or jiu-jitsu guys, if they get their hooks on you, they grab you, like you're just not getting away. I think he just gets a hold of you, gets a leg, and you're not getting that leg back.
The way he has crawled after people looks like day one wrestling stuff in the garage that I used to train in.
Basic wrestling, but he's just so strong at it. Like I said, if he gets a single leg, like you're not going anywhere.
I think though that he's gotten a lot more technical with his wrestling the past few years, and
do you think that he would be able to do that against a D1 wrestler like Tyron Woodley?
No, but I think one thing that
remember how bad he made Chael Sonnen look when they fought?
Yeah.
He took him down like
he took him down easy.
Chael wrestled on a national level.
Yeah, I mean, I think people kind of underestimate because it looks ugly. Man, my wrestling coach Steve Mako is wrestling legend. The guy tells me all the time, like this stuff isn't always pretty.
Right.
That's the biggest thing he tells me. Like when I'm struggling with a technique, and it's like I want it to be perfect, but he's like, it's not always going to be perfect. It's the drive that you have to finish these takedowns.
The pretty double leg takedown, like the beautiful, shoot in, deep shot, pick up, scoop, slam, is pretty much gone in MMA these days. Like high level dudes don't ever get hit with a double leg.
Only if you time it right. If you get a guy, coming in hard for 1, 2, 3, and you just shoot under it and you time it correctly, you get lucky with the timing, then you can get that. But other than that, you're right. A normal straight deep double leg doesn't really happen in these days.
You see that regionally. I think a guy that overextends and gets the shot underneath him and taken down, but like at the highest level,
not as often.
Not really, unless there's an exception. Like if you hurt someone and you think they're hurt badly, and you throw that 3-punch combination and they, duck under and get in deep on a double leg, you see it. But for the most part, yeah, you just never see, like the Sean Shirks of the world aren't standing on the outside waiting for you to throw that jab and overhand and duck under and take you down.
One thing about Maia's takedowns too that I think nobody really seems to see is he's in it to get it to the ground. It's not just a takedown. It's not just wrestling. He'll abandon a failed takedown to pull half guard and go for the sweep. It doesn't matter as long as he gets his opponent to engage the ground.
Right.
That's the biggest thing for him, and I think that's really what sets him apart above everyone else. And hey, I'm going to be training with George for this fight. Like, I'm a part of his camp. Full disclosure, this is a big fight for us. But I think that the biggest thing that I'm going to be telling him is that, like, this guy is not just going to wrestle. He's going to try to pull guard. He's going to try to get the fight to the ground no matter what.
The kind of takedown defense that George needs to use in this fight, this is my opinion, is not wrestling defense. He needs to do like this Wonderboy Thompson, where he's stopping takedowns by moving and staying clear of the shot, not letting a guy get to you and then fighting it off, but just not letting him get to you at all.
How do you adequately replicate the style of Demian Maia in a training camp, though, Micah? Because Demian Maia, for my money, is the best jiu-jitsu player in mixed martial arts right now. Making a strong...
Except for Jake Shields, who beat him.
This is what's interesting, though. Jake Shields, for all intents and purposes, is a well-rounded mixed martial artist that can hurt you with his hands and do ground and pound. Demian Maia is a jiu-jitsu player, and he's going to take 10-8 rounds off of people doing nothing but straight jiu-jitsu at times. Right. Like, Demian Maia is, in a lot of ways, toothless, but when he plays his game, he'll rip you to shreds.
Oh, he's scary. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I like seeing George fight, and I'm bummed just imagining Demian Maia taking him down without even getting one punch off and just ruining his momentum.
Well, I don't think he's going to get George down that easy. George is wrestling with the best wrestlers.
I hope he doesn't either.
Have.
But what do you think? Carlos Condit's no good? He made Carlos Condit look like
a much better wrestler than
Carlos.
Condit.
I'm just saying, Carlos has had a tough road the last couple of years.
I'm just saying, Carlos Condit's a high-level dude, a former champion, and he looked like a punk against Demian Maia.
He's 6'1", too. Like, I think that being that tall lends himself to the takedowns way more. Like you look at like a Matt Brown who's 6 feet, 6'1", Carlos 6'1", 6'2". Like, the longer guys are going to be easier for a guy like Demian Maia all day. Like, if Demian fought Cowboy, I thought that was a terrible fight for Cowboy. Just on that same.
Yeah, that'd be a bad fight for him too.
When it comes down to like one of the guys getting embarrassed between Masvidal and Maia, I think Masvidal has a much higher chance at embarrassing Demian Maia than Demian Maia does Masvidal. Because if you look at Masvidal's record, honestly, you look at his record, I think you can make a strong case that Jorge Masvidal is one of the top 15 lightweights of all time. Because the people that he lost to, prime Gilbert Melendez, really good guys, he lost to them by split decision. Yeah. Meaning one of those judges thought that he did enough to win the fight, and it's like, man,
one judge gave him the win against Gilbert?
Not against Gilbert, but against like Benson Henderson. But the fact is he went the distance with a guy like Gilbert.
Yeah.
Like, this is a guy that you don't think about him being, one of the greatest of all time at 155 pounds, but he has a resume where he only lost to the elite, and some of those elite fighters that he lost to, he took one scorecard, and now he's just running game at 170. If Masvidal comes out and does fight for a welterweight title in the next year in the UFC, it really wouldn't be that surprising to me.
I wouldn't be surprised at all
either.
Because this guy has not only had these split decision setbacks, but he's never stopped.
Yeah.
This guy's been grinding for a long time, and whenever he loses a split decision, it breaks some guys.
Yeah.
But you see where he's at now. This guy has never stopped going forward, and I think we talked earlier about Latin stars. I think George Masvidal is the next Latin star.
And
I really do.
He's one of the most interesting figures. I mean, from the Boatyard to the Octagon.
He's a cash cow sitting there waiting. I don't think they're using him like in obviously I'm biased, but when you look at the demographic of the Latin community, I think that a guy like George, once he gets to show his personality a little more, and the guy can fight as good as anyone. He's incredible fighter. I think he's really going to take off.
Incredibly mentally strong as well. I mean, he's a poker player. He really thinks a lot about the mental edge and the aspect of things when it comes to going into a fight, and very composed and very vocal too when it comes to PEDs. I mean, he talked about how he was a stud before USADA. He'll be a stud after USADA. And, I mean, I would never, ever feel comfortable betting against Masvidal.
Yeah.
He's tough. Let's keep moving forward. Another fight announced, Cub Swanson and Artem Lobov.
Yeah, weird one, right?
I think it's so weird. Artem
Very weird.
Artem is
That's
not
that's a thumbs down.
Artem is not anywhere in Cubs league.
No.
But I've known Cub all my life, and I will say for Cub, for me it seems like he gets a headline card. This is like a showcase fight for him. He's gonna go out there and look good because I thought Artem has looked mediocre at best.
But Cub never steamrolls anybody. Cub fights people.
I mean, he KOs people.
Yeah, but like he fights people. Like he doesn't ever just go out there and make it a 30-second night and be like, "What up? I'm Cub Swanson. I'm one of the best in the world." He goes out there and he wins a fight of the night bonus, and he breaks his hand in the process. I mean, that's what Cub does. And I mean, if I was Cubs management or someone was close, I'd be like, "Dude, like we need to go out there and we need to get the style points working here because this guy's not even in the top 15 and you're in the top 5. Like, there's a lot to lose for Cub Swanson."
I mean, he KO'd Charles Oliveira in 2.5 minutes. That was a while ago.
Did he break his hand?
I don't know. That was 4 years ago, though. But
like, here's the problem: Cub puts it together and he puts together runs, and then he finds himself in a fight that it should be where he's favored, and all of a sudden it's like 29-28.
He takes more damage than he should, but he finishes.
I think you're right, TJ. I've fought Cub, and I think that when you see him fight, the guy, it's not about like, oh, I'm gonna get this decision, oh, I'm gonna secure this position. Like you said, the guy comes to fight.
Yeah,
he comes to fight.
He looks the part of a fighter. He fights the part of a fighter.
And I don't think you can change that either.
No,
you know, I don't think it's he's going to change his fighting style. But I think it's great. I think it's a great fight for him. I really do. I don't know how Lobov is honestly still in the UFC.
Well, it's going to answer some questions about Cub.
You know
too.
why? Because he's Connor's best friend.
Because he's his boy. Yeah.
Okay, let's keep moving forward. What else is going on in the world? UFC 209, the fight coming up this weekend at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, has had some really slow ticket sales.
Really?
Well, I mean, it's like you said, Tyron Woodley and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. One's from New York, or one's from the East. They're both from the East Coast. Tyron's from Missouri. Mm-hmm. So neither guy has a big following in the West Coast or Las Vegas. The co-main event, that's
the money.
We have Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov. Now, neither one of those guys have giant followings on the West Coast or in Las Vegas. Even though Tony's from here in Orange County, but nobody. I never even see the guy. He's supposed to live right by me.
Let me ask you this. Do you feel that ticket sales are a sign of how this pay-per-view is going to do as well? Because, like, for me, I'm a hardcore MMA fan. I'm too far inside the bubble to really get a good idea what the casual fan feels.
I think this will be a pretty big international pay-per-view because of Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Yeah.
I hope so. I just, for my money, like, again, Wonderboy and Tyron Woodley, fantastic fight. I'm excited to see some final resolution to their draw from last year. But, like, Nurmagomedov and Ferguson is an interim belt. It's 5 rounds. I need to see this because
people are more interested in this than the main event.
I agree.
But I think
which is unfortunate.
But it's not a slight to the main event by any means, in my opinion.
Not at all. This is just a huge fight.
Yeah, and a lot of people were going, oh, they're handing out interim titles like it's nothing. Okay, well, fine. I don't care about the belt. The fact that Tony Ferguson and Khabib are fighting and it is 5 rounds,
it's great.
That's the way it should be. Like, for me, when it's a co-main event and it's not 5 rounds, I feel like we're not getting everything that we should at times.
I completely agree. I think there's a lot of fights that we see that should be 5 rounds that aren't. When it has the implications of rankings and like you get really high up there, like you got to have resolution.
I'm all for 5-round fights as long as I'm not in them.
I wish
15 minutes is enough for me.
I wish that the UFC had a class system like Shudo did because these guys are Class A fighters, and if you're a Class A UFC fighter and you're fighting in a title eliminator and it's on a pay-per-view where there's a title fight and you're not the main event, like, you deserve every single second to allow yourself the best opportunity to win and have I mean, if Khabib and Ferguson are really even after 3 rounds and this wasn't an interim title fight, we would be bitching and moaning that we're not getting.
But, you know, a lot of the interim fights I think are stupid when he's interim title fights. But this one, I don't have a problem with because who knows how long it's going to be till Conor fights again. First of all, who knows how long it's going to be till he fights in the UFC?
Right.
If he does fight in the UFC, who knows what weight class he's going to be in? He might fight Jose Aldo. I really doubt it. He could fight a welterweight against Nick Diaz or Nate Diaz or GSP or who knows. So it could be a long time till they fight to get a lightweight in the UFC.
Well, that's what's funny. We're all complaining about these interim titles.
This one I'm okay with.
But Conor McGregor is the sole source for all the interim belts.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? So
it's true.
Well, what do you? Let's ask this question. Was Vegas the place to do this card?
Where else would they have done it?
I don't know.
Well,
when you have all these,
I mean,
when you have
Tyron Woodley's not
going
to
to
sell. Unfortunately, our friend Tyron Woodley's not going to sell out an arena in St. Louis.
You don't think so?
Not just for him, no. And also that Bellator, they have that whole St. Louis area locked down.
They just ran St. Louis, I think, not too long ago as well.
They always have big cards there. I mean,
South Carolina?
Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, is he going to? No. Is Tony Ferguson going to sell out a card? He might sell some tickets at Anaheim. I think they're going to do a show there sometime in the summer, which they plan to have him and Bisping fight at.
So you're saying we need to do a co-promotion between the UFC and Eurasian Fight Nights, and Khabib's the headliner.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm really interested to see how many pay-per-views are sold internationally with Khabib here fighting the co-main event for a belt. I'm interested. I mean, I know we're never going to see those real numbers because it's a private company and they don't have to share any numbers. But I would love to get a real look. Yeah. And that brings me to another thought. I always laugh when I see all these UFC pay-per-view numbers because they're all guesses. I mean, I understand they're educated guesses, but they're all guesses at the end of the day. You don't know.
We don't really have a real honest number about
anything. Nobody really knows how many pay-per-views sell on any of these cards. They're all guesses.
And I hear so many things. Meltzer's number's not really all that accurate. Oh, it's too low this time. It's way too high this time. It's like the inconsistency on the numbers that we hear. Like I have no idea if it's
nobody has any idea.
How did they track it?
They don't.
So, Meltzer has a good number because Meltzer's had sources for pay-per-view buys for years going back to pro wrestling days. Like
right.
The idea that Meltzer is the one that knows a hard, fast number, generally, I mean, his number, I believe, is the most reliable. There are some other people that
it's
have
an educated guess.
Right.
It's not a wild guess. It's educated.
Well,
but
I don't understand how you couldn't track this. Pretty close.
Because UFC's a private company.
Right.
They don't tell anyone.
The numbers aren't public.
Right,
Pay-per-view numbers aren't public.
The only people who knows are the UFC and the cable companies.
Yep. Yeah. And they don't ever release that information. It's not like a Nielsen number. Like a Nielsen number is out there.
Right.
A pay-per-view number has nothing to do with the general public or advertisers, etc.
So let's keep moving forward. I mean, well, that brings us to, again, we were talking about WME problems, WME, IMG. I mean, what are they going to really do if without, unless George has a big impact? We don't know what's going on with Conor in boxing. We don't know if he's going to fight Floyd or not. They want to fight. We don't really know what's holding it up. We can all guess that the UFC is holding up, saying we want a big chunk, and Conor.
Floyd is not going to fight Conor McGregor.
I think if the UFC wasn't in the way, I think it would already happened.
Yeah.
I mean. Yeah. I don't know.
I can't imagine.
Too much
I can't
business.
imagine that they're doing all this talk for nothing.
Shame on a commission that licensed that. Shame on a commission.
Why?
It's not
because
you don't think it's dangerous.
It sets a precedent. I never, ever want to hear ever again that a fight is turned down because of inexperience on behalf of fighter A compared to fighter B. Then, because you don't get to be the best baseball player in the world and go start in the NFL. But
you get to be the best pro wrestler in the world.
I mean,
and start in the UFC.
So that's a CM Punk thing. That's fine. I mean, that's the only real example of that, and that's on the
James
UFC.
Toney.
But sure.
Yeah.
And
if James Toney got licensed to fight UFC, then fuck it, Conor better get licensed.
And
to
I
box.
guarantee you, Conor will do better in boxing than James Toney did in MMA.
Nevada,
guarantee you.
The state of Nevada already said they have no problem giving Conor a license.
And
to
I'm
box.
sorry, I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's right. I really don't.
I mean, I don't think he's in danger.
You're throwing things out the window. Then you're just really throwing things out the window.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I personally don't believe Conor McGregor is going to be a liability or a danger of getting hurt and making the sport look bad.
I don't think so.
He's going to be okay.
I will end up buying that pay-per-view for work purposes. I would never, ever buy it from a consumer standpoint. If you want to make this interesting, it has to be a mixed rules bout, and it doesn't even have to be a mixed rules bout where Conor is allowed to take Floyd down or anything like that.
It should be kickboxing.
They're because Floyd won't do that.
Could you imagine Floyd getting leg kicked?
No.
He would be pissed.
There are two things that I would be interested in seeing in a mixed rules bout. I want to see a boxing match between the two, but I want it in the octagon. That way Floyd can't cut off the ring. Or I would want it in a not a kickboxing match, but Conor's allowed to throw body kicks. Not leg kicks, not head kicks, body kicks.
What about What about boxing match, but just with MMA gloves on?
I don't think the state of Nevada would allow that.
Yeah. Or how about this? Boxing match, but you can't break the clinch.
Huh. See, but I don't think that they're allowed to just make up fucking rules.
Really?
When you got this much money
no.
coming in.
I'll tell you this. You can in mixed martial arts. Honestly, you can
Yeah, you
overlook
can.
rules in mixed martial arts because Elite XC did it. They had the 30-second ground rule.
Yeah.
In Strikeforce, when they were putting on shows, we're just not going to allow elbows. Well, the unified rule says you can have elbows.
Yeah, that's true.
So there are concessions.
So
to
maybe
be made.
in MMA, but I don't think in boxing you can just make shit up and they're cool with it.
You can. It's the same commission. You can do whatever you want to if the money is in excess of.
That'd be a question for Big John we should ask.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
The last thing I will say about this, and I hope, I'm a big precedent guy, and I like looking at the past and seeing what we've seen before and how it relates to today. Muhammad Ali fought Antonio Inoki, and it was a mixed rules fight.
Yep.
And no one really remembers it. It wasn't all that great to watch.
A boring fight.
But that said, there is a precedent where two amazing combat sport athletes, one with worked outcomes, looked at it and said, you know what, we're going to make concessions on both sides to make this fight happen, and it happened. That's what I want. I don't want to see Conor go out there and hand Floyd Mayweather his 50th win.
Sure. And to add on to that, just so we'll finish that little part, it was Floyd's birthday this weekend, 40th birthday. He partied in L.A. all weekend here, and his house was broken into on his birthday.
Happy birthday, Floyd.
They got a couple $100,000 worth of purses and watches and stuff. I'm sure Floyd has insurance and he doesn't give a fuck. But what a shitty birthday present.
That's the problem though with like being a celebrity and
everyone
social
knows
media and whatnot.
where you are. Oh, it's his birthday. He's partying in L.A.
Yeah.
He's gone for the weekend. Well, let's go to his house.
Like you would legit, like if you're a big time celebrity and you are active on social media, you would have to pay someone to just be in your house all the time.
Yeah.
Like I'm leaving. You need to stay here and watch TV and make sure.
You would think he has some staff or somebody.
I think he can afford it, TJ. What do you think?
I mean, if he can just afford to lose $100,000, Floyd, I will do a podcast for less than $100,000 for you. So let's talk.
Well, listen, a couple more things before we're done with the news here on American Animals. Paige Van Zandt has announced she's leaving Team Alpha Male, and she's going to the same Gracie Baja team that Chael Sonnen is training with in Oregon.
What?
I'm just fucking curveball right there.
That's a curveball.
Maybe she likes rain, and Sacramento doesn't have enough.
Well,
I don't know.
She came to Orange County and trained. And she was talking about moving to Orange County, and I thought she was going to come train Aruka with Perillo and Cyborg and everyone, but I guess not.
Ruka's becoming like an honest-to-goodness team all of a sudden. Like, it's always been a place where some guys go and train.
Yeah, like a private little thing?
Yeah, but like now, like the people that are going through Ruka and working with Perillo, like I feel...
Dude, there's some days where there's like 10, 15 high-level fighters in there.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, we're training at Ruka today.
It used to be just like a thing. It was for BJ or for Vitor, and I was a part of BJ's training camps going a decade back. I mean, my name's painted on the wall there, from the art from the.
Did you tag it?
No, that the guy Retina, the artist Retina, who does like the weird riding art that's super trendy now. He painted it a decade ago.
Is he no longer with them?
Well, is
he detached?
Oh, he's a huge artist now. That guy gets paid hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars now.
Did I make a detached Retina joke and no one got it?
Oh, I got
Come
it.
on.
I got it.
That's funny.
I got it. Last and certainly not least, the last thing I wanted to mention to you
Thank you.
guys is do you think this is them messing with them? But Mark Hunt fights Alistair Overeem this weekend, and the UFC filed a motion yesterday they're asking the state of Nevada to completely dismiss Mark Hunt's entire lawsuit against Brock Lesnar and Dana White in the UFC.
Combat sports is a dirty, dirty game.
Pretty funny. You know about the lawsuit, Micah?
Yeah.
Okay. So there you go. That's our news here in American Animals.
You got Cyborg coming up, right?
Yeah. We got Cyborg coming up, and that's going to be it for this week. And hopefully Ian McCall will be back next week. I don't know. He guy's a world traveler. He's in Okinawa, Japan.
He's teaching the troops how to curl their mustaches.
What's he doing in Oki?
He has a mustache curling seminar. No, he's
No.
teaching. Obviously, he's doing some wrestling or
Okay,
some
cool.
missions or some fighting
Nice.
stuff. So
I mean, talk a guy that has had some digestion issues as of late.
he wants to go to Okinawa.
Let's just go over and eat a bunch of Japanese food.
Well, he's going to be on the base there, so I'm pretty sure I'll be eating some pretty Americanized food.
Yeah.
No, because MREs are really great.
Well, I'm sure they have a little bit something better than that. For
I hope
him,
so.
But,
I miss Ian.
we're going to be back in just a moment here in American Animals. And you guys remember, find us at the #2 American Animals on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, and find our website, 2AmericanAnimals.com. Hanging out, Micah Miller, TJ DeSantis, Erik Apple. We'll be right back with Cris Cyborg. And we're back here at American Animal. See, I didn't say welcome, TJ, because you told me not to say welcome. You're hanging out with Erik Apple. Ian McCall is in Okinawa, Japan, helping out with some troops over there, doing some seminars and stuff like that for our American troops. And TJ DeSantis, our producer, is going to be hosting the show with us. But that's not what's important right now. What's important is Cris Cyborg is on the phone with us. Thanks so much for getting on the phone with us, Cris.
Oh, welcome. My pleasure. Thank you.
Now, I have had the exquisite experience recently of training at Ruka in the mornings with Jason Perillo and crew, and I've been seeing Cris there. And Cris, you've been working really hard lately. I know you've had some problems with some medical conditions from after your last weight cut, but it seems like you're getting healthier and stronger and getting ready to start training for a fight soon.
Yeah, after my last fight, I asked for a little bit of time break, for safe family and, be break about dying too. Can eat whatever you want, and I feel really good. I said I can fight after March, and always I keep training, not just when I have camp for fight, because when you train out the camp, you can learn more. And yeah, I like to train and be ready, But the worst time in the camp, it's cut weight. The other thing to train, it's fun when you can eat.
Well, things in your world have changed quite a bit in the last couple months, Cris. I must say, I mean, for you to have the 145-pound division created for you in the UFC must be an amazing thing. And then for you also to be cleared by USADA and basically saying that you had every reason to be taking the medication that you were taking, must be a good feeling on both ends now for you. I mean, things have really opened up for you.
Almost 2 months for me, it's a really hard time. But, soon USADA called me, I already explained everything, and then did the investigation. My doctor helped me, everything. And I'm really happy about everything cleaning up, and I'm available for fight soon. And man, for me, it's a tough time for me, but, I always I said to my fans, I'm going to prove I'll be clean, I'm clean. And I didn't mistake my life one time. And after that, I really learned my mistake. And I'm the only fighter signed with USADA before BUSC. Because, man, I appreciate all my fans support me, and thank you for all my fans. Keep with me these 2 months worse, in my career again. But, I'm really happy, and for sure my fans happy can see me in Octagon soon.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, so you had a couple months of really tough times, but man, now that you're clear, you have a weight division that you're not going to have to kill yourself to make the weight, and you've been cleared again. But what I think is so crazy is that people were really ganging up on you and people were talking bad about you. But the drug that you had in your system, it was sometimes used as a diuretic. It's not like it was even anything that somebody would take to get bigger or stronger or better at fighting, right?
It's then used for like diuretic too, but they have a lot of things that can help you. And in my case, this is the only medication that my doctor told me, and but I'm really happy that everything clear, and of course I'm gonna keep in doctor every year, for show my case for USADA, send me then asking for it, and I'm really happy. Now I have my weight too, 145. I have a hard time for cut 140, and everything have a reason. I'm never say why happened this to me. I would say everything happened for one reason, and man, I'm glad that 145 pounds now have my division. I'm really happy I can fight soon for the belt.
It's funny. I look at women's mixed martial arts at 145 pounds over the last 3, 4, 5 weeks, and there have been 3 title fights. There have been the UFC title fight between Holly and Jermaine. Invicta had a interim title fight between Megan Anderson and Charmaine Tweet. And then now Bellator has Marlush Kunin and Julia Budd fighting. And it's like we have 3 world championship fights. And now Cris is still the Invicta FC featherweight champion, but we're crowning all these champions, and the best woman at 145 pounds is sitting at home. What has it been like for you, Cris, to see these fights come up and have belts wrapped around other ladies at your weight class, and we're basically not talking about you, the best featherweight in the world?
For me it sounds funny because everybody say don't have nobody in my division. And you can see have 3 organizations different, make 145 pounds and for the belt. If you don't have girls in my division, why have 3 different belts? And I still work in 145 Invicta, and Megan Anderson they have 13 belts, And I never think just fight for the belt. Always I fight for do the best fight for my fans. And because this I agree fight to 140. For maybe one day we're supposed to fight to see the fight me, Ronda, everybody want to watch before. And always I said, man, I'm not fight for the belt. I fight for for make nice fight for my fans. It's the belt, it's consequence, and I still think I'm a world champion. I mean, nobody take the belt from me. And for me to see the growing women's MMA 145, man, it make me happy, I think this is great. It opened the door for other girls.
Of course.
Not just one event. I think, you have opportunity for see other girls 145 in other organizations.
What was harder for you, Cris? Was it harder to see the belt, the UFC title wrapped around Germaine de Randamie's waist, or was it harder for you to watch an interim title in a weight class that you're the champion of, an Invicta, get wrapped around the waist of Megan Anderson?
Before this fight, I don't like call my manager and they say, man, I would like Cris fight this event. And I said, I'm going to be ready just March. I cannot go through diet. I can train, but go through dry diet, like eat a little bit and train all day. My body cannot go with this. And he said, okay, but we're not going to wait. We're going to make fight anyway. And you already knew this, make me mad a little bit, yeah. But, I was there. I watched the fight, make me happy because, doesn't matter if I'm not there to fight for the belt, The champion now cannot run from me. She have to fight me. Everybody knows who gonna get the belt. Have to fight Cyborg next.
Well,
and for me it's cool. I'm there watching, and I'm happy. I did everything for open the division 145.
Of course, I agree with that 100%. But I'm going to say that I think you're wrong, Cris. I think even if they are champions, they're still going to try to run away from you.
I know, but I was in my gym when I trained shooter box. People, you never have to choose your opponent. In the worst, if you be a world champ, you need to be ready for who be contender number one. And if she be injury, okay, man, I have to wait for her cover her hand. It's okay. Now, if she don't have an injury, for sure we need to fight. She's already she's supposed to fight for the belt. And I'm a contender number one. I don't think I'm going to fight for the belt. I already have my belt. I'm going to just do one more defense the belt. In my mind, I'm going to defend my belt my next fight.
Cris, I know you're not the kind. I will say, I want to say this too. It's so funny because I see a lot of people who treat you harshly and aren't really fair with Cris. But Cris, even though she's so fearsome in the cage and in the ring, Cris is one of the nicest women you could ever meet. She's one of the nicest, sweetest ladies, and it always makes me sad when people say anything negative about her because she's such a nice person. So I know this will be hard for you, Cris, but without being disrespectful, when you watched Germaine de Randamie and Holly Holm fight, you had to be smiling in your mind thinking that I'm going to crush either one of these girls.
I watched this fight. The first thing, first of all, the fight, the two girls not supposed to fight for the belt, really. If you're going to think about, man, Holly Holm coming to 2 losses, Randamie, she's not fighting 145 a long time. But when I watch this fight, I think, these two girls need more MMA game, It's not just Muay Thai. It's an MMA game. You can do takedown, you can do grappling, you can submit, you can do ground and pound, you can do whatever. No, just stand up. And I feel some mistakes like this, and I like stand up game, But I have other choice too. But people don't watch because I don't have the opportunity for watch. But of course I saw a couple things. I really need to work for them and some weakness there then too,
Yeah, so let's switch gears and talk more about yourself instead of the other girls. Cris, I want to ask you, with a 145-pound division, now that's 5 less pounds that you have to cut. How much easier, because we've seen how much you had to suffer and how difficult it was to make 140 pounds. Will it be relatively easy for you to make 145?
For me, my last couple 145, I was not dehydrated too much because I was doing dieting almost 3 years for drop on 135. And I was making better 145 than before, beginning of my career. And because we tried to do 135, but we can't. And I try 140. But I'm gonna try my next 145 pounds. I really don't want to dehydrate too much,
Yep.
I want to train hard. Same I training for 140. My last fight is 140. I'm going to train hard like 140. And like mass, I want to lose like 5 pounds of water. Nothing more this. It's no help for my body, and I'm going to try no dehydrate. I'm going to try make weight easier, and because I'm keep training, and I'm going to try hard. The same I'm doing like 145 pounds. I'm going to train same harder for 145.
Yep, understood. Now I want to talk to you about you're living in Orange County now. I want to ask, do you feel like really comfortable and really happy with your training environment and your coaches and your training partners? Because I know, you came from Brazil. You moved up here, I'd say, 2008, 2007?
2009.
2009. So
Yes.
so you were in Brazil, and then you were training with Shootbox, and then you were training in San Diego, and now you're in Orange County. And I want to know how settled in and how happy you are with your training situation now.
I moved for here 2009. I was before Gina Carano fight, and I was training in Huntington Beach, and then I moved to San Diego. I stayed like 6 years in San Diego. I really like San Diego, but I started working with Tito and Jorge Pradini, my manager. And I started training here, do wrestling and the training. I started training with Jace Perillo. I think Jason helped me really good about my boxing. I think I'm getting really better about this. And we worked, I think, almost 5 years together. And, I'm really happy for my team. And always I train everything separate. And I train jiu-jitsu one place, Muay Thai on the place with Bryce. And when I have a fight, I do sparring different, like sparring, Muay Thai sparring, grappling. And when I have fights, we make plans. We start to do like MMA sparring. And, I'm really happy with my friend, in the works. I really don't want to change anything in my camp. I think when you're a winner, you cannot change the game, You cannot change the player when the game works and you win. I think, I love my team. They support me a lot. And after everything is usada, then we stay with me, my manager, just say thank you for everyone.
That's great. And then I want to ask, again, we were talking about earlier how happy you must be now. You've been cleared by USADA. You have a weight division that you don't have to suffer very much to make the weight class. And how happy are you now with your last couple fights being in the UFC? The numbers did really good on television, right? A lot of people watched in America, not to mention how many millions of people in Brazil watched.
Yes.
I don't know if you understand the word. How vindicating is it for you, or how much freedom do you feel now to know that you can be one of the most popular fighters in America and in the world you don't even have to fight Ronda Rousey anymore. You don't have to care about that fight anymore.
Something I was really believe, because before I signed with UFC, everybody knows who's Cyborg. Before, if you go anywhere in the world, there's got Cyborg, everybody already know who I am. And when I just go work now with UFC, just like you make the marriage, I was already prepared for be there, and I just wait the opportunity for be there one day. And I'm really happy. Now I'm working happy, and now I don't have issues with Dana White. We fix all the problems, and I'm really happy to work one place and people appreciate my work. And I think they invite me for watch 145 pounds for the belt, first fight ever in UFC. I think, show me a little bit of respect and they appreciate my work. And this is just motivate me for do my best inside the cage.
It must be satisfying for you, like you said, because, you've gotten through all these challenges and you've come out on top. And man, I think you're in a great place now with your career and your training and your training partners and your coaches and where you are with your popularity.
Yeah, no, I'm feeling really happy. I feel really happy, and I want to fight soon. I want to fight for the belt soon, and let's see what's gonna happen and when will be next. Who?
So today, or maybe yesterday, the state of New York turned down Holly Holm's. She challenged the result of the fight with Jermaine. So, would you understand if the UFC wanted to put on a rematch with those two girls, or do you think it's silly? Because I personally think it's kind of silly for them to do anything without you.
No, they say you're going to do the rematch or not?
No. What I'm saying is the state of New York. So Holly Holm challenged the state of New York and said, I was hit multiple times after the bell, so I'm protesting this fight. Now, yesterday or maybe earlier today, they said, we're not changing the result. It's not going to be a draw or a no contest. You still lost the fight. So do you think that do you think it makes sense to let them rematch, or no? You want to fight right away?
No, I don't think so. I watched this fight, okay, and then say, Germany, she punched after the bell. I think she getting mad because she's having her hand in the floor, and then Holly Holm tried to kick her head, and she saw the kick coming, and she stand up, and when she stand up, her hand no more on the floor. But I think getting her mad, she said, "Man, you want to kick my head in the floor, or my hands in the floor?" And then I think she getting mad about this, and then she start punching Holly, and I think, okay, you want to play this game? We can play. I think she want to show this, but I don't think she did it like dirty, want to punch her after the bell. I think she, I don't think she did this because mean. I think because she wants to show, okay, you want to play like this game, I'm going to play. I'm a fighter too. And because she has so many fights, I don't think she's going to she's a winner of the fight. Why is she going to do something wrong for match the fight? And I think the Germany, she won the fight. You can see the face the Holly and the face her face, and I think she did more damage and the Holly the opposite. I think so, and I don't think I don't agree with rematch. I don't agree. But it's not me. I'm no matchmaker. The event. But I have just to watch and see what's gonna happen. But I don't think this rematch is gonna happen. And if you watch the fight, very excited fight, I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like both girls were very timid and didn't attack very much because I feel like Germaine has much stronger stand-up and she didn't really push very much.
Yeah, I felt this too. I told my friend and Ray with me, if she did same thing she did before the bell, then the one she's getting mad, I think the fight finished before, But she didn't respect each other there. I don't know really. Then I think. Don't want to do mistakes. I don't know.
Now, Cris, we saw some pictures and some video on social media the day with Fabricio Verdum, the former UFC heavyweight champion, letting you check out the UFC belt. Are you getting it sized up? Are you going to get a frame? Are you getting ready for your own belt? You're going to be at your house soon, you think?
I'm not having nothing ready yet. I think I think when they then call me, you're gonna fight this day and everything. When they have the belt, I'm gonna believe it. And we make a joke. We're doing really close friend, and he's really funny. And he said, man, when are you gonna fight? I said, I don't know. And the girl, when you have an angel, but what do you want? He said, man, I would like my belt, And he said, Cris, you're already champ. And then he give his belt. He say he have 2 belts there, and really funny. We try joke with everyone, but no, I just waited for see. Of course, I have one special place for next belt.
Cris, and do you foresee your next fight being in Brazil?
Who don't want to fight your counter for the belt?
Sure.
I think it will be special thing for me and for my fans there. But, I have a lot of fans in the United States, too, and I just say I would like to fight that, but, if it happens, it will be perfect. But if not, I can understand. But now I have to see who if Germany will be ready for fight or if not. And I don't know where it's going to be, but I would like to fight June in Brazil.
Do you feel more pressure when you fight in your home country than if you fought somewhere else?
I feel home. I think it's more pressure for who fight against you there. When I fought in my city, I think 8 years after, when I did my first fight, I did. When I started beginning my career, I did my first fight in Curitiba. And when I did my first fight, my debut in FC, I did in Curitiba. And so many people there, and then when I won the fight, everyone shared with me because they followed my career a long time and see, I would like to fight UFC one day. And I think in Rio will be special too. I think all the people, follow my career and know everything going through with everything. And I think everybody it'll be really nice,
I think it would be too.
Everywhere, in Brazil and the United States.
Yeah, or you could go back and forth. I think we need to get you to fight over here a little bit more. We need the Americans to get a chance to see the real champion of the 145-pound division.
My manager say the same thing. He said, you need to fight because you go Brazil all the time. And all my team is America, all my team. Everybody from America, and everybody wants the next fight be here.
Yep.
And, I just wait and see, where, and I just be prepared and be ready for my next fight.
Well, Cris, this is your country now. You're an American citizen.
Yes, and I'm getting improved my English. I'm getting better every day.
It is getting much, much better, that's for sure. So
nice.
we got to give a shout out to Richard Wilner for helping you with your citizenship stuff.
Yeah, he should help me. Yeah, at the beginning of my career, I took my green card and stayed 5 years, and then now I'm a citizen, American citizen. It's really cool.
Well, I think everything in the world, I think the stars are aligning, as they might say, TJ, for Cris Cyborg. I mean, she's a citizen now. She's been cleared by USADA. She has her own weight division. I mean, I think everything's going great for her.
She's still the Invicta FC featherweight champion.
Yeah. I mean, I think the world's a good place for Cris Cyborg these days. I'm happy for her.
Oh, thank you, Apple. Thanks so much.
All right. Well, Cris, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to get off to a little commercial spot that TJ hates to go to so much here on American Animals. And, guys, make sure you find us. Well, wait, real quick. Cris, how do we find you on social media? It's at Cris Cyborg?
At Cris Cyborg, yes. And it's my Twitter, my Instagram, my page, too, Cris Cyborg Santos.
So it's at Cris Cyborg. It's CrisCyborg at Cris Cyborg. Make sure you guys find her and follow her. Become a fan if you aren't already on one. And Cris, we're gonna make sure we get all the links to you so you can share the show tomorrow.
Okay, if you have anybody hater like on the Big Hero, we can match in the Ruka.
Okay, perfect. All right, Cris.
Catch me outside.
Catch me outside. How about that?
That's terrifying.
Can we get? It's perfect that she came up with that. I love it. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. You're listening to Two American Animals. We'll be back in just a moment. You're listening to American Animals. This was episode number 32. We've really got a lot of shows going. Things are moving and grooving for us. Thanks to Wilner and O'Reilly for coming and sponsoring. Also, thanks to BJPenn.com as well as The Underground, always promoting our content. We've got a lot of partners. Mike and Miller coming here and helping us out as well. Thank you, sir.
No problem.
And, of course, TJ DeSantis, producer extraordinaire.
Oh, you're cute with your 32 episodes.
Producer extraordinaire. Yeah, Joe Rogan better watch out at the number 925.
Get out of here with that nonsense.
We're catching up to you, Joe. We're catching up to you, Joe.
I'm the leader.
How many do you got?
Between everything at SureDog, I don't know, 5,000?
Jeez.
Something like that?
TJ, you gotta remind him.
I know.
The king of content.
It's like king of content.
TJ, are you going to get American Animals a part? Can we be a part of ShareDog's content?
How much you got?
I got a fee for you every week.
That's true.
And a case of Rockstar every month.
That is true. I like that. What are we at? 5,043 at ShareDog.
Wow.
That's just ShareDog.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm impressed. Not only can he produce, he can talk.
He's an all-around kind of guy.
You know?
A 5-tool player.
All right, now you're making me uncomfortable, and I don't want to talk anymore.
I mean, I need to think of a nickname for him. He was calling me Mountain Dew earlier, but now we need to think of a nickname
My
for
listeners
him.
have a nickname for me. I don't like it.
What is it?
The King of Fight Pass.
King of Fight Pass?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got 2 gigs on Fight Pass. Nobody else has 2 gigs on Fight Pass. And I'm the only person to ever do a podcast on Fight Pass.
Invicta and what else?
EBI.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, by the way, on Sunday if you want to come out. The welterweights.
And then where is it here?
Yeah, it's Florentine Gardens.
Yeah, maybe I'd love to come check it out. And what is the podcast that's on Fight Pass?
I've done podcasts for Invicta and EBI on Fight Pass.
Oh, huh. Interesting. I love learning about all this stuff. It's so funny because I never listened to podcasts or shows until we had a radio show / podcast.
Really?
I never really listened to anything like this. I very rarely listen to it.
Radio's dead.
Yeah, I agree. Well,
and TJ is very sad about that.
I've got a lot of useless skills now because radio's dead. Like I can hit the post like a champion. You don't know what that means. But
hit the post?
Yeah. It's like when a song is like a guitar is playing at the beginning of a song and you talk all the way up and then stop immediately when the vocals kick in.
Oh, yeah. I got it.
Yeah. I can do that like nobody's business.
You're obsolete now.
I'm an Apple II computer.
Ooh, why do you guys use Apple?
Oh, yeah. You're an Apple.
God. Well, listen, you got another show coming in. You're going to beam some people in. Micah, thanks for hanging out. Make sure you pat your brother on the butt for me.
I will.
Tell him I said good game.
I'll tell him that's from you.
I like him a lot.
Yeah, me too.
He's an angry little fucker, and I like him.
Yeah, he's not happy unless he's angry.
I like that. TJ, thanks so much for hanging out. Of course, the beautiful Ariel here in the background. She's doing a good job over there on the couch.
She awake?
Yeah, she's awake this time.
Oh,
good job, babe. You guys are hanging out with Erik Apple. And of course, we already mentioned Micah and TJ. Come back next week. I don't know who our guest is, but there'll be somebody good. We'll get someone good like we do every week. Thanks to Cris Cyborg for coming on. Make sure you guys find her at Cris Cyborg, as well as at Two American Animals. We will see you soon.
The preceding podcast was a TJ DeSantis production. Comments, questions, and inquiries can be directed to DeSantisProd@gmail.com.
This podcast was a presentation of LightUpMedia.fm.